The moment my aunt opened the door, I already knew she didn't even try to hide the sneer. "We don't want you here," she said, arms crossed like a final verdict. "Go ruin someone else's holiday." Behind her, the house glowed, warm gold lights strung across the ceiling, laughter echoing from the dining room. My family, my blood. Plates piled high, wine glasses raised. I stood frozen on the porch, holding a bottle of wine and a pie I made from scratch. I nodded just once, got it. Then I turned and walked into the cold. 10 minutes later, my father burst through that same door, shouting my name like a man waking up from a coma. But by then it was too late. 3 years ago, I was the golden niece after my mother died. Aunt Carol said I was like a daughter to her. I believed her every Thanksgiving, Christmas, Sunday dinner. I was there, I brought homemade dishes, cleaned up while everyone watched football, laughed at Uncle Ray's tired jokes. When I landed a job at a local nonprofit and started freelancing on the side, I offered to build a website for the family business, Carol's Catering. Free of charge, she loved the idea. "You've always been the smart one," she said, pressing her cold fingers to my cheek. "You're going to make us all proud." I should have seen the shift. When I asked about joining as a partner, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Let's revisit that." In a year, sweetie, they revisited it without me. 6 months later, the business rebranded. New website, new logo, new partner. My cousin Rachel, whose only qualification was a popular Instagram account and a fake marketing degree. No one told me. I found out on Facebook. Still, I swallowed it. I kept showing up. I kept helping. I wanted to believe it was a mistake, not a message, but the signs kept coming. My calls went unanswered. Invitations dried up when Grandma's 80th birthday passed, and I saw the photos online. Everyone there. But me, I started to understand. They weren't forgetting me. They were cutting me out. The final slice came 2 weeks before Christmas. I was dropping off some gingerbread cookies for my dad at work. He's a quiet man, not the emotional type, but he hugged me a little longer than usual, told me, "Don't let them get to you." Some people mistake kindness for weakness. I didn't know what he meant until I spotted the envelope half buried in his desk drawer. An invitation, Carol's annual Christmas Eve dinner, custom printed, gilded font, RSVP required. I never got one. That's when the anger drained out and the clarity rushed in. I didn't cry. Not anymore. I stopped being the girl who begged for scraps of love from people who only smiled when they needed something. I became something else. See, pain sharpens you. You either shatter or you cut back. I started watching. Carol had no clue I still had admin access to the catering website, or that I could see every new client inquiry, every invoice, every venue booking. I started tracking patterns. Every Thursday night she logged in from her iPad at 9:37 p.m. sharp every Monday. Rachel sent out press releases, plagiarized, by the way, from a PR template site. I archived everything quietly. I reached out to a few vendors I'd worked with before. Graphic designers, photographers, told them I was helping a friend investigate a rebranding issue. Every one of them confirmed it. Carol used my designs, my copy, my back-end framework without permission, never credited me. It was theft, documented, time-stamped, undeniable. Now I had leverage. Step 1. Cut off the blood supply. I contacted their 3 biggest clients, the luxury hotel, the wedding venue, and the high-end retirement community. Each had signed contracts using my original work. My website, my brand proposal. I simply informed them calmly, legally, that I never granted rights to use my intellectual property. I attached a cease and desist. 2 pulled out immediately. Step 2. Let them panic. I waited. Christmas Eve. I drove up to their house at 6:02 p.m. sharp, just when dinner would be starting, just to see Carol open the door like I was the Grinch. "We don't want you here," she spat. "Go ruin someone else's holiday." I nodded. Got it. 10 minutes later, I stood at the end of the block, watching from my car, when my dad came tearing down the driveway, coat half on, voice cracking with panic. He'd just found out what I'd done. No, what they had done. He'd read the cease and desist. I BCC'd to his law firm, the firm he co-founded 20 years ago, the firm Carol somehow forgot he owned. He wasn't just mad, he was furious at them. 1 week later, Carol got served. Intellectual property, theft, damages, misrepresentation, fraudulent use of design materials, breach of verbal contract. My father filed it himself. He also pulled all financial backing from their business, froze the joint account that Grandma had set up for family ventures. Carol begged him not to. It was just a misunderstanding. She wept at the hearing. No, he said, voice like ice. It was betrayal. Rachel tried to play. Dumb claimed she thought it was all approved, but I'd printed the Slack messages she sent, calling me a dumb doormat. I let the silence say everything in the end. They lost the business, and the house turns out Carol had been skimming from the accounts too. I didn't smile when I watched the for sale sign go up. I didn't need to power, doesn't gloat, it just walks away. I spent Christmas Day with my dad, just us. He made hot cocoa and told me he was proud of how I handled it, that I was my mother's daughter through and through. I stayed quiet, just let the warmth of the mug soak into my fingers. There was a time I would have begged them to love me, to explain, to apologize, to include me again. That version of me died on their doorstep. Now I don't need their table. I built my own. And next Christmas, they'll be the ones on the outside looking in.